The Texas legislature votes on thousands of bills every session. Often, those debates can get overlooked even on critical legislation. That's why we've asked legislators to come to TPPF to talk about their bills to make sure you stay on top of the most important issues making their way through the Capitol. This is The Layout. I'm David Dunmoyer, campaign director for the Better Tech for Tomorrow initiative, and today I'm with Senator Bryan Hughes. Senator Hughes, so good to have you back on the show.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, we're here today to discuss Senate Bill 726, your bill to provide more agency and control over our personal information from digital devices. You've been a stalwart and a champion on data privacy in past sessions, and you have this new bill to address this. So can you just break down for us what's the problem that you saw that kind of catalyzed this bill?
Be glad to. Last session, Texas passed House Bill 4, the strongest data privacy law in the country, as you know. Other states copied it. We were flattered. We know one state copied it because their original draft had a typo that was in our original draft. And so we might want to start doing that. But anyway, it's a great bill, a great law. House Bill 4 basically says you have the right to know what data is being collected. You have the right to see it, to correct it, to opt out, and they can't punish you for opting out. And so House Bill 4 gives tremendous protections to Texans. We've recognized as a practical matter, some folks are not aware of their rights in that setting. They don't have a way to effectuate them. So the bill before us would require that smart devices have an app. So in real time, you can see what data is leaving your device, where it's going. You can stop it. You can have some agency in the process. So that's what the bill's about.
Yeah, that's great, and another common sense bill that I'm sure other states will copy and paste on as well.
Hopefully.
Well, can you just take us through the bill then? Let's start there.
You bet. So the burden is placed on the manufacturer, the one that provides the device. And of course, we think of smart devices like our phones and laptops, but think about your home appliances. They've got all kinds of technology now that are collecting information about your usage, your habits, and beaming them back somewhere. So all devices like that would be covered under this bill. So smart devices, consumer devices, devices that you wear, devices that you carry, that you have in your home that are collecting data from you, they'll all be under the purview of this bill. And so that app has to be present to allow the consumer to know what's coming and going and to stop it.
That's great. And I think a lot of Texans are waking up to how many new vectors for data collection there are, thinking about Roomba vacuums. Amazon now owns them. That collects data. So the importance of this bill cannot be overemphasized. So when hopefully this bill is enacted and becomes law, how do you hope this will improve the lives of everyday Texans?
Some folks aren't concerned about sharing their data. It's a personal thing. Some folks don't care, and that's fine. We can't make them care. It's none of our business if they want to share their data. But folks need to know, there's consent, and then there's informed consent. Folks need to know what's being taken, where it's going, and then they can make their own decisions.
Sure. And to that point of informed consent, the counter argument on some of the data privacy bills that we've worked together on, and this one will probably be no different, is we check that little box in that 150-page terms of service, and we give up our information. So to folks who say we volunteer that information up, what's your response as it relates to this bill?
The tech companies love to hide behind free market principles or their versions of free market principles when it helps them. We know what an adhesion contract is, and we know when they are the only provider, or there's a handful of providers for this service that have really become essential services. They can't hide behind that. They can't say you clicked the box, therefore you've consented to give us your firstborn child. It doesn't work that way. It never has. English common law and American law has always recognized that those adhesion contracts, that you're forced to take it or leave it, especially when there's hundreds of pages of buried conditions, they can't hide behind that.
Yeah. No, well said. And my final question for you, sir, has there been any feedback, any responses you've heard from folks in the Capitol, constituents on this data privacy bill?
Folks like the concept. One thing we hear sometimes from the tech world when Texas makes a move like this, as you know, we've led on digital privacy, on social media free speech, and we used to hear from the tech companies, yeah, that's fine. Bless your heart, Texas. This is a federal thing. We're not going to do 50 different laws. And our response is, we don't care about the other 49 different laws, but if you're going to do business in Texas, we're going to protect Texans. And so they don't complain about that as much, but when they do things to help Texas, it has the benefit of helping the rest of the country as well.
That's right. What starts here changes the world, as some universities would say. Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us on The Layout today.
Thanks for having me.